Alrighty, so let's get started. It is 1 p.m. Eastern. Um, Good afternoon, everyone who is tuning in from the East Coast. Good morning to everyone on the West Coast. Good evening if you are somewhere else where it is evening time. Thank you, everyone, for showing up. We're very excited to get started on this webinar from Senior Tech Connect regarding mastering ChatGPT prompts, controls, and navigating ChatGPT. I'm very excited to be here with Dylan, who is our San Diego market president at Senior Tech Connect. Dylan and I are going to be really leading this interactive conversation today.
All right. So we're going to go over, well, first we're going to start off by just kind of getting a breakdown of what ChatGPT is, what AI is in general. Then we'll move into how to access ChatGPT, what website to go to, making an account. Then we're going to look at navigating ChatGPT. So looking at once you're on the website, what do all those buttons do? How do you navigate it? What are each section of the website? What's the purpose of those sections? Then we'll move on to 8 specific types of prompts. And these prompts are essentially how you're going to speak to the AI, to the ChatGPT. So these 8 various methods we'll go over. After that, we'll look at how you can stop ChatGPT mid-response, how you can regenerate those responses, provide some feedback, and then using the clipboard as well, some of those useful tools. First, before we get into how to access the website, we're just going to briefly discuss what AI is and what the purpose of ChatGPT is. Essentially, AI it uses algorithms, uses machine learning algorithms. And I want to break that down by saying that an algorithm is nothing more than a list of instructions. So it's a list of instructions that a computer follows. With machine learning algorithms, the big difference there is that they're actually able to update their own code and improve their own programming. So with that, the more that tools like ChatGPT are used by an individual, the better that tool becomes as it improves its own code. Um, so again, accessing it specifically, you would go to this website here, chat.openai.com. That is the official website for ChatGPT. And then you can also download the app. There's a ChatGPT app that you can download onto your phone, your tablet, whatever devices you have. Either way, whichever method you choose, you will have to create an account using chat to use the ChatGPT. You can use your Google account. You can just sign in with Gmail, your Apple account, anything like that. And oh, I'm hearing there's no sound in the chat.
I'm hearing
You're
you.
hearing me? Can I get some thumbs up if you're able to hear me? Okay. Okay. Maybe that's a personal volume issue. Maybe turning up the volume would help that. Okay. Okay. So moving on there, that's how you would access the ChatGPT website. Once you're on the website, this is what you're going to see. This is the main screen that you'll see popping up. And then right here in the middle, you'll see a section that says Ask Anything. This is where you would just click and type in whatever your query is. Once you've asked your question or formed your original prompt, which we'll go into how to do in the following slides, you would just press enter, or you would have an option over here to send the message. Notably, on the side, you also have these 2 options for voice control or voice mode. The difference here, this microphone will allow you to dictate what you want it to say. So you can just speak and it will translate or dictate whatever words you speak into that search box. The voice mode to the right of that will fully switch this into a voice enabled mode that will just converse back and forth with you. So you can speak to the AI, to ChatGPT, and it'll just speak right back to you. So again, 2 various methods of voice control there. You'll
So
see a side panel on the left. This is where you're going to access pretty much anything that you want to do in ChatGPT other than just typing here. You would access on this side panel. On the bottom left, specifically, you'll see all of your previous chats. So anything that you've done in ChatGPT before, as long as you have your history being saved, which you can adjust in your settings, you'll see all of those chats right here in that bottom left corner.
So Dylan, just a real quick question. I know this is
Yeah.
kind of backing up a little bit, but for the audience here that might not have ever used ChatGPT or any AI tool in their lives, what are some things that you can think of that might be helpful for them, whether things that you use it for or things that older adults could use AI or ChatGPT tools for, what would you say would be their reason or their encouragement to try it out?
Well, in general, and I know this is maybe a bit of a broad answer, but it is a fun tool to use in general. Just kind of conversing with this thing, it's a little more useful than Google in the sense that if you want a more nuanced answer to something, maybe you just or you're feeling some back pain or wrist pain or some sort of specific pain, and you want to think, well, how can I? Maybe there's some stretches or something that could help with this. And you can go to WebMD and do some research. You can go to Google. There's also the option to just converse with ChatGPT. Now, it's important to note, because I'm speaking on medical stuff specifically, that that's something you would certainly want to verify in that example. But essentially, it's a good place to get ideas for various things.
Yeah, that's awesome. I appreciate that. And in fact, I see Carl put drafting letters or keeping live journals. What about everyone else in the room? Is there anyone else who's used AI in the past for different types of tools? What do you use AI for?
I'm seeing an advanced Google search as one thing. That's it, and we're actually going to go over towards the end. We're going to go over. I'll mention briefly, kind of some instances where you might want to use ChatGPT instead of Google, and which ones you might want to prefer given a specific circumstance. It's certainly something that goes a little bit deeper than Google, but you also have to worry about those hallucinations or incorrect responses that you can get sometimes. Recipes, that's a good one. I've actually personally tried a few recipes from ChatGPT. They were good enough. There's nothing to complain about, you know. They'll give you something that's pretty good, and then you have the opportunity to improve upon it. So it's almost like just having someone there to talk back and forth with to improve your own ideas. To create a Facebook ad, absolutely, yeah. Trying to figure out what the right wording is that appeals to the right amount of people is a hard thing to try to do on your own. Whereas ChatGPT can look at all these ads that are already out there and say, "Oh, well, I see what works. I'll adjust and act accordingly." Professional emails, that's I was just gonna bounce that off from drafting the letters, that writing those emails, very useful for that.
I had a lady, she's in her 90s, and she was really excited to learn how to meal prep because she was fiercely independent and she just wanted to figure out how could she plan out her meals 2 weeks in advance with her caregiver. And we showed her how to use ChatGPT to make a specific meal plan, which, included the meals that she liked most, some of the foods or ingredients that she couldn't eat, maybe dairy or nuts or certain types of meat. And it came up with a full grocery list for her and her caregiver to go out and shop for. And that was really, really eye-opening to me that someone like her, who at first did not want to talk about technology, she was then able to use this in such a helpful way for her.
That's really cool. I see also using ChatGPT for your business to create books, guides to add value. Absolutely. It's an easy way to add value, especially if you know how to prompt properly, which again, we're going to get into here in a few slides. Ways to approach a company for fundraising. Yeah, again, all these and more great ideas. Pretty much anything you can imagine that you might want to ask to a person, you can pretty much ask to this chatbot, assuming that you take it with a grain of salt, depending on what it is. Again, sometimes these chatbots, these large language models, they can spit out false information. So it is just important to verify those things. Um, yeah, it is great seeing it in a care setting like that, Carl, for sure. I think we're ready to move on. All right. So there's a few different models that you can use with ChatGPT, and you can see those by clicking up here on the top. And towards the end, we're going to have a more interactive portion where I'm going to actually pull up ChatGPT's website and we'll go through a few examples. So we'll see this all again. I just wanted to go over here first. So these models you would adjust by clicking this down arrow. You would have auto, which it'll decide the model for you. Instant, which will give you an answer right away. And then thinking is going to take a little longer. It's going to take about 30 to 40 seconds, maybe a bit more, to really think and do some research and figure out the answer. If you've just got a simple question that probably has a simple answer, it's fine to just use instant. I find that I mostly just use thinking just because why not? It's going to give you better results. So again, unless it's something really quick and easy, I would just stick with thinking. They have a pro option as well. You would see if you clicked upgrade that in order to use this pro feature would cost $200 a month. So I don't think there's many people that are probably going to be using this unless they need it for their business and they need that research grade intelligence. But for the most part, these are the three models that we will be sticking with. And then even once you're in the thinking model, you can also choose at this point if you want it to be a standard amount of thinking time or extended. If you want it to be taking even longer, maybe take a couple of minutes or more. Maybe you're not in a hurry, you just want the best information possible. Then you want to set it to thinking and you want it to set it to extended. Now on the left side, on the left panel here, you'll see several options, one of those being GPTs. So GPTs are essentially specific uh, notes or chats that have been set up that have specific context already built into them. So, for example, if I wanted to write an essay, for example, I would need to tell the chat GPT, I would need to tell it, you are an expert writer, you are a professional in this specific topic, and pretty much let the AI know what it needs to be preparing itself to do. These GPTs make it so that you don't have to worry about that aspect. You can find the GPT, as you can see here, that says essay writer. And you can click there and just start typing and saying, I need an essay on this topic. Let's start with an outline and go bit by bit. Again, we'll get more into the actual prompt of that later. The important thing is just to note that these GPTs make it so that you don't have to spend so much time in the beginning setting up your chat for the specific task at hand.
So Dylan, I'm
Yeah.
going to jump in again,
Hmm.
again off topic, but I'm looking at your chats down at the bottom, and you mentioned that those are chat history of your
Yeah.
previous prompts or questions that you asked ChatGPT. A lot of seniors we work with will ask, you know, if I use AI, is it going to have access to all of my data and information, and is it going to take over all of my privacy and accounts? What would you say to someone who's curious? I know this is more of the intro to ChatGPT type question, but or intro to AI, but what would you say to that question?
Certainly a great question. Thanks for bringing that up. Anything that you give to ChatGPT will be used to train its models, will be used to collect data in whatever way it can. These chatbots cannot in any way access the data on your computer, but anything you give it, it will use. So again, if you have an email that you want to give it to improve the email, and maybe it has some personal information in that email, that personal information is now owned by OpenAI and will be used to train their models. So again, you want to be very careful in only using these tools. Yeah, even if it is that same example with an email, maybe just remove the personal information first, send it through the chatbot the same way, and then add that personal information back after the fact. Yeah,
Awesome. Thank you. And I do know that they have some proprietary GPTs where, your local school or a company can get their own version of ChatGPT that does not train their models on. So it's almost like a private, customized GPT program if you do have concerns about that. It will be more expensive, but the option exists. Thanks,
yeah,
Dylan.
of course. And once you're ready to use these GPTs, you would just click this area. It would bring up the GPTs section and you could search for whatever you're wanting. Maybe you want recipes, so maybe you just type here Master Chef or whatever fancy term you want to put in there to get like the best possible GPT out of that. Any of them that you do use will show up here in this left column. Again, you can see four of them that I've just placed here as examples for this presentation. But again, any of them that you click on and use will show up here so you can use them again later and access them easier. So for projects, this again on that left pane will be a little further down or towards the middle. You'll just click New Project. Essentially, what this does is if you have tasks that maybe you have a specific thing that you're going to be discussing over the course of a long time, maybe you've got travel plans and you wanna set up a vacation and you wanna take a month or two to think about this and like talk back and forth and figure out what are the best options. Let's really think about this. You might want to set up a project for that. That way, all of the chats and things that you speak about or files that you add, all of it will be put into the same context of this one project so that it can all be accessed from this one place. So again, once you click New Project, it's going to pop up uh, this pop up on the bottom left. It'll ask you to put a name. Again, I just put travel plans. And as you can see here, projects keep chats, files, and custom instructions in one place, use them for ongoing work or just to keep things tidy. So again, any of those things that are related, you can make a project for to keep them more organized instead of what you see me doing here with just a long list of chat histories. Certainly some of those I could have probably put into a project and had it more organized. And then once you've created the project, again, you'll see just like with a normal chat in the center here, you'll see where you can start typing, use your voice modes, whatever you'd like to do, add files here as well. So if you want to add PDFs or pictures or whatever else, that is the button you would use to make that happen. All right, so now we're going to get into those 8 types of prompts that I was referring to. The first of those is just going to be a simple question. So right here, you just see that I'm asking, what is an algorithm? And then we can see right here it's letting me know that it's a step-by-step process for solving a problem or accomplishing a task. Again, just a clear set of instructions for a program to follow, essentially. Uh, One thing that I've mentioned before are these hallucinations. So if a question has a little more nuance to it, there's a little more depth, a little more research that they may have to do, there's going to be this possibility for a hallucination, which essentially, I know it's kind of a funny term, it's the technology hallucinating, but it is just essentially saying that it is confidently giving you incorrect information. It's not saying, oh, I think this might be the answer, and then it's wrong. It's saying, this is the answer, I know for sure. And it just simply doesn't. It's hallucinating. So again, if there's more nuance, if there's more I would say urgency or need for correct information, I would certainly verify things that you do through ChatGPT.
We
Second
always,
type, oh, sorry, go
sorry,
ahead.
sorry to jump in. We always, when we use AI as a tool at Senior Tech Connect, we always treat it as the intern that works for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But it's a brand new intern, and that information might not be correct. So if you ever use it for something, make sure you're double checking that work. You will see on the bottom any type of AI tool will usually say, ChatGPT can make mistakes. Please check your work, just like Dylan said.
All right, so that second prompt type is going to be creating lists. So going back to that vacation or travel plans ideas we were talking about, maybe you want to start by just saying, hey, give me 5 vacation ideas for the summer that I could take my grandchildren to within the United States that offer fun activities for kids under the age of 10. So that's a pretty specific thing that might take someone quite a while to narrow down via Google searches and doing their own research. But a great opportunity for ChatGPT. Again, you can see here, it thought for 49 seconds, and then it provided me with a pretty good list. It's got Legoland, it's got the Smithsonian, some good options here. I think a 10-year-old would love Legoland personally. So yeah, you can create those lists, sentences more. It's pretty much whatever kind of list you need. Could even go back to what Cole was saying about meal prepping. If you just needed to create a list of recipes or ingredients for those recipes for a meal plan, it's certainly able to create those lists. That third type of prompt is going to be long form written responses. Now you can see here, the first thing I'm doing is I'm pulling up a GPT. So I'm not just opening up a new chat and typing and just giving it a bunch of context. I'm letting GPTs do a lot of those heavy lifting for me by having that GPT. So yeah, I'm asking it. I'm telling it we're going to be writing a research paper on the topic of social media and how it impacts mental health. The one thing that I would like to point out here is that I'm starting by asking it to create an outline. I'm not just asking it create an essay. If you just simply say make an essay, it's going to probably be very bland, very repetitive. You really need to engage with ChatGPT and have that back and forth to let it know. So in this instance, I'm getting it to create an outline. And then next steps for me is going to be reading through this outline and giving feedback. I think if I remember right when I made this, it gave me like 16 points. So obviously way more points than I would need for a typical paper. So I would go through it. I would let them know which points I liked most, which adjustments I want to make or tweaks I might want to make to specific ones. And then from there, we would move on to me saying, okay, using the outline above, at this point, you will have copied and pasted or discussed with it to get the proper outline. And then you would just tell it to create the first section, being the introduction in this example. So now you can see it creates the introduction section. From there, you can review that section, adjust it as needed, and then move on to the second section. So again, it's still a step-by-step process. There's still more that needs to happen to get a good quality paper out of this, um, but certainly doable as long as you're taking it in these small chunks.
Yeah, and we always say try to include as much detail as possible. So Dylan made sure to mention, give it the specific detail that you want out of your outline and not just an essay. I always, if I want a certain tone, I'll ask it to either provide me with an output that has a casual tone or a professional tone. The more context you give it and specificity, the better answer you're going to get out of it.
Yeah, for sure. The fourth types of these prompts is going to be complex problem solving. I don't know how many of us are doing complex math problems, but it's certainly something that is pretty good at. I wouldn't say that it's the best at doing these math problems. Again, this complexity, this nuance sometimes does create the hallucinations we were talking about before. So if it gets really complex, at the very least, you want to ask it to provide steps for how it was solved. You don't just want to put a problem in and say, give me the answer. Because again, that's exactly what it's going to do is confidently generate an answer, and maybe it's right, maybe it's not. So in these cases, I would always ask it to provide steps for how it was solved so I can go through those steps myself and confirm that this is actually correct math. Then we have writing feedback. So maybe you have an email that you want to have rewritten. Maybe you have a research paper that you've just done that you want to get feedback on, and just see like, hey, how do you think I could improve this? In this example specifically, I have a poem about cybersecurity that I just wanted to revise and make it a little bit shorter. So I say revise this poem to have more complexity in its rhyming scheme for a more unique poem. Also make it about half as long. And then you can see it definitely didn't make it half as long. So it made it a little bit longer than half as long. But again, you can just get it to revise this. The important thing to note here is not to have it revise it and then just take the new one and say, oh, that must be better. Let's use that. I would have this be an iterative process where I would have it generate four, five, maybe six poems. And then I would just take the best parts from each of those that I like and have a final product from that. And the sixth type is going to be translating. So here you can see I've translated our mission with Senior Tech Connect into Spanish just by simply asking it to do so. In a matter of seconds, it provides that back. I don't know Spanish, so I'm really hoping that's correct. Uh, well, hopefully. Next, we have instructional guides. So this is where you can ask for step-by-step instructions. Maybe in this example specifically, you want to know how can I make the text on my iPhone across the entire phone larger? I want to increase that text size so I can see what I'm doing on my phone better. Well, you can ask ChatGPT. You can let it know, like I put here, provide a step-by-step guide on how to increase the size of all text on my iPhone 15. So I'm specifically telling it what phone I have and that I want a step-by-step process. And that's when they're providing me with these instructions, open settings, display and brightness, text size. So then you can just go through those settings yourself to get those questions answered. And finally, we have information extraction. So this is where you can insert a link to an article and ask it to provide a brief summary or specific points. Maybe you want just certain statistics from the article and you need to use those. Just ask it, hey, provide a list of the statistics found in this article. Here you can see I uploaded an article on BBC from BBC. One thing to note here is you can see at the bottom what sources are being used. So even though I asked ChatGPT to provide a brief summary for this BBC article, you can see that they're providing me Yahoo News resources as their source. Now it says +3 here. That probably means that one of the other two is probably this link. But it just goes to show that it is using other sources as well. Now, if I had instead said, provide a brief summary of the article linked below and only use the linked article below, and specify, don't use any external sources, only use the context within this article I'm providing, then it would have done so. And we would have seen this Yahoo News would probably just be the one link. So again, just goes to show that the specificity you provide is important to what outcome you're going to get. Did you have a question, Cole?
Yeah, I think so we've hit the eight, right? The eight different prompt types, right, Dylan? And some of these words, even me looking at them, I'm a little confused. I think now would be a great time to kind of show a little bit of a demonstration on some of those on how to get into ChatGPT and maybe some of those examples. And maybe we can ask the audience if they have some things or some examples that they would like to ask or to prompt. Because a lot of these words are real out there, and with the dark screen, it can look a little hard to access or a little
Yeah,
exclusive. So would you be able to jump into that?
absolutely. Let me get that pulled up.
Awesome. And what I would love, if you wouldn't mind, Dylan, I'm asking the world of you, and I'm just sitting here watching.
Of
But
course.
if you could kind of show, maybe sign out of your account
Yeah,
and
for sure.
just to show what it would look like to create a new
Just
ChatGPT.
to confirm, you're seeing my screen right now, right? With the ChatGPT?
I'm seeing your presentation,
Ah, okay, let me switch. I see.
and we will cue the elevator music while Dylan finds ChatGPT.
Are you seeing it now?
Yes, I
Okay.
do.
So let me log out.
There we go. It looks like we've got our first prompt right there from Michelle. Thank you.
All right. So again, the ChatGPT website is going to be right here, chatgpt.com. There's another link that's provided that's openai.chatgpt.com. But again, this link right here will get it, chatgpt.com. And also, if you just Google ChatGPT, you'll see that OpenAI link at the top. OpenAI is the company that owns and created ChatGPT. So once we're on that website, you'll see a pop up to log in. You'll click login. And for me personally, I have mine just set up with Google, but you also have the option to continue with a Microsoft account, with an Apple account, with your phone number, or just with another email address and password that you want to set up. Again, for myself, I've set this up with Google, so as soon as I click this, it should just confirm my account and log in immediately without having to make up a new password or anything like that. It essentially logs in using your Google account. So there's no additional password being created in this instant. It's just using my Google account. So now that I'm logged in, again, you can see here at the top, we can adjust our models. I'm set on the thinking model, and I have it on the standard. Again, sometimes I'll switch that to extended depending on what I'm doing. Standard is perfectly fine unless I would say um, it really thinking longer really just gives you better and better results. So really, if you're okay with waiting a couple minutes, then go ahead and set it to extended. Standard's usually going to give you results in about 30 to 40 seconds. But for the purposes of us being here and not listening to elevator music for 40 seconds, I'm going to set us to instant. Uh,
If I'm brand new to ChatGPT, do I need to mess with any of those settings, or can I just go in and just type in the box that says ask anything?
You can certainly just start typing. Again, the first thing you're going to see is just this chat area, and you can certainly just start having a conversation without touching anything else on the side panel, without adjusting your model. If you're using a free account, you may not even have the GPT-5. I believe it's going to be 3.5 that they're still on. So this may look slightly different depending on your account type. But ultimately, these are what those types of models will do. But yes, if you just open up ChatGPT, you can just immediately start typing if that's what you'd like to do. So let's get some ideas in the chat or do we have some already? Let's see.
Oh yeah, we got make a meatless meal with 20 grams of protein per serving.
That's a good one. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is go to my GPTs, and we're talking about meals, so I want to find a chef. We'll let that load. Master Chef Cooking. What you can see, if you see these numbers here, 400,000 plus, 300,000 plus, 25K plus, this is letting you know how many people have downloaded and used this GPT. So for me personally, I'm thinking, hey, if 400,000 people are using this one, it's probably one of the best ones. I'll go ahead and trust that one for this. So I'll click on it. It'll provide a brief summary. It'll show you the ratings that it's gotten. So you can see a lot of five-star ratings here, not so many poor ratings, a rating of 4.5 in general. And then we can click Start Chat here at the bottom. So that's going to open up this new window. From there, I can just type in my query, make a meatless meal with 20 grams per serving. And let's see what happens. Again, this is, yeah.
I think it, oh yeah, there you go. Protein.
So right now it's because these GPTs are set up in specific ways, some of them are programmed to ask you follow-up questions. So what is your cooking skill level? Let's say intermediate. Do you have any dietary restrictions? Um, let's see. It says meatless meal, so let's just say that they're a vegetarian. How many servings? Say we want two servings. Final question. Would you like to limit the calories? Sure, let's keep it under 600. Okay, and then it reiterates what we just discussed. Spiced chickpea and quinoa power bowl with herbed yogurt sauce. It's a protein-rich bowl, combines roasted chickpeas, quinoa, fresh veggies. Yeah. And it gives you some more insights, the nutritional facts, lets you know that quinoa is one of the few plant-based sources that's a complete protein. I didn't know that. And again, with information like this, where it's confidently saying something, that might be something that you want to double check. Again, I didn't know that quinoa is a complete protein. And maybe I still don't, right? Maybe I want to go verify that and confirm that before I go telling all my friends, hey, did you know? And maybe spreading bad information. Again, I'm pretty sure in that instance that's probably correct. And Cole probably will be able to verify that. He's, but yeah, it shows the ingredients and then cooking instructions below. So you can see first to cook the quinoa, roast the chickpeas, make the yogurt herb sauce, assemble the bowl. Um, it gives you substitutions in case you don't want dairy, for example. Optional things like adding avocado if you want some more of those healthy fats. And then it's currently working on generating a photo. These kind of take a little while, but it's essentially just generating an image of what this meal might look like. I'll say the images typically are not that great with ChatGPT from what I've seen personally. They tend to be lacking. We'll see if I'm proven wrong in this instance. I'm seeing the avocado and the chickpeas, but again, this it looks like they just have like an ingredient and an ingredient and an ingredient instead of like a mixed bowl. Again, it's AI just trying to generate an image. It's doing its best. But yeah, as you can see, it's got that's not terrible. Again, it's not mixed up like a bowl probably would be, but yeah, that's good.
So Dylan, what would happen if it were me? I would just take the prompt that I think Michelle provided and say, and just put it in a new chat. Can you show what that would look like if you just typed the same thing into a brand new chat without going into a specific GPT? Because I
Absolutely.
can see the
Yeah.
GPTs being a little confusing and maybe exclusionary to some people.
It's certainly important to point out the difference. I would say, I would actually argue against it being exclusionary. I would say more so the chat itself, when it's just the basic chat, because of the lack of context, that can sometimes make it exclusionary.
Hmm.
Whereas the GPTs can provide that context so they don't have to provide it themselves and know how to do that. But yeah, it's a good thing to point out though. Let's see what happens when we just, in a basic chat, again, it's just going to provide also a chickpea and quinoa power bowl. That's funny. Two servings, and then it just has a quick recipe here. So again, this is certainly an option. Personally, I would look at this with a lot more suspicion of how good it's going to be compared to the GPT that has been given a lot more context on how to be a chef and how to cook and how to know how to do these things.
So do you think that it made the same exact recipe just because it made the same exact recipe, or do you believe it's because your last question in your history asked for the same exact thing?
Well, let's verify some things. So let's look at the ingredients list. We've got, let's see, protein 20 grams. Yeah, so likely this was provided because of the previous chat and it knowing, oh, you just asked for this and you just asked for it again. So maybe this wasn't the best example of that. But let me do this instead. Hold on. Peach cobbler. So again, it'll quickly spit out a recipe here. It'll provide you with ingredients for the peaches, for the batter. the instructions, a few tips at the end if you want extra crunch or something like that. Again, the you can see that it's a little bit less detailed, these instructions. Again, in some cases that makes it easier to read. But does that mean that it's as accurate or providing the correct inf or providing good quality information? Maybe not. Potentially so. Again, with something like this where it's a recipe, I would definitely recommend going to the GPTs and unless you want to provide that context yourself, which is perfectly fine to do. It just obviously will take some time and you letting it know exactly what you're looking for. I'm seeing Robin said, I ask it for the most popular links to current recipes on the internet. Let's try that.
That's great. And after that, I have a question from Patsy about what does GPT stand for, which I think is a
Yes.
great question to ask ChatGPT.
Yeah, it is. So you can see right now it's searching the web. You saw that pop up for a moment there. And yeah, we've got all recipes. We've got Eating Well. We've got Delish, the Food Network, Pinch of Yum. So yeah, several options here. And if you were to say all recipes, for example, you could click that link and it would pull up the all recipes website there. Um, and GPT stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer.
So
Uh, go ahead.
go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say a fun fact that Transformer, the technology that is that Transformer was actually created by Google, and then that kind of led to OpenAI creating this, which kind of forced Google's hand to release Gemini early. So it kind of it all this pretty much started because Google invented this Transformer. But yeah, what were you gonna say, Cole?
Well, I think this is also a great way to segue into if ChatGPT is the only type of AI and what other types of companies are out there providing those tools. And it's making me think maybe we can ask that question. Somebody asked if we could, well, she said, I just use the mic. I go straight for the voice mode.
Yeah,
Do you want to maybe ask that question or talk about that question with ChatGPT through the cool voice mode?
yeah, let's do that. So again, the distinction here, you can either dictate by clicking this button, which will just translate your words into text into this search box, or you can go into voice mode. So once I click voice mode, see it's going to pull up this ball essentially in the center. It's listening to me talk right now. Let's see. Hey ChatGPT, what are some of the other large language models out there, and what are the pros and cons of using each?
Absolutely. Let's have some fun with this. So, aside from me, your friendly neighborhood GPT, there are a few other
Interesting. I
models.
think we lost her voice.
We've got models like Google's Gemini, Anthropic's Claude, and Microsoft's Copilot by OpenAI Tech as well. To break it down with a little creative flair, Gemini from Google, think of Gemini as that friend who's super into search and has a knack for integrating seamlessly with Google's ecosystem. It's great if you want something that plays nicely with Google services. On the flip side, it might not be as flexible outside that sandbox. Claude from Anthropic's kind of like your thoughtful, safety conscious buddy. It's built with a strong emphasis on being helpful and safe. The
Okay, were you able to hear the voice mode?
I think we might have, I think when you enabled the sound, now it sounds like you're very muffled. Um,
Ah,
there we
is
go.
that still the case right now?
Yeah, you're
Okay.
better now.
Okay.
I'm thinking maybe what I can do is I can actually pull it up on my phone,
Yeah.
ask a similar,
Perfect. Yeah, go ahead.
because as soon as you pull that up, we lost. So, for everyone's awareness, this ChatGPT, as well as most AI tools, can be accessed on your computer or also on an application on your phone. So what I did, and it might be a little bit difficult for you to see, is I've just pulled up the ChatGPT app on my phone, which is no different than what you're seeing on Dylan's screen right there. This is just the phone app. So, Dylan, because I couldn't hear you, what was your question or what were you going to ask?
Oh,
Um,
I was asking what are the other large language models out there and what are the pros and cons of using each?
Okay. So, trust me that I'm asking ChatGPT this question, and I will try to show you my screen so you can see it. Um, I'm going to ask that very question with the voice mode. So what I would do is I would look, there's a very similar button on my screen on the right there next to the microphone. That's the voice mode right there. So I'm going to tap on that. I'm going to see a circle in the middle of the screen, and then I'm going to ask away. So what are the other large language models out there, and what are the pros and cons of each?
Absolutely. There are several big players in the large language model space. For example, OpenAI has models like GPT-4 and GPT-4o, which are known for their versatility and ability to handle a wide range of tasks. Then there's Google with their Gemini models, which focus on integration with Google's ecosystem and tend to have great performance in search and knowledge retrieval. Meta has Llama models, which are open source and great for researchers who want more transparency and customization. Anthropic offers Claude, which emphasizes safety and alignment in AI responses. And then there's Mistral, which focuses on open weight model and providing flexibility for developers. Each of these has its own strengths and weaknesses. For example, OpenAI's models are known for being highly capable and user friendly, but can be a bit less transparent. Google's models integrate well with their services, but might not be as open in terms of access.
And if I want him to shut up, I can just click on that X right there. Um, so that was just an example of the same question typed in can be asked using the microphone or the voice mode, and we can keep going back and forth. So oftentimes, if I'm going on a walk and I have some questions and I have nobody to call that I can ask these questions to, I might just put this on and talk back and forth with either ChatGPT or another model to get those answers. Um,
And as you all saw, like when it's actually speaking, you can hear it. It sounds very human. Like it's even got uhs and ums going on. It's got those like kind of question inflections that you hear sometimes. It's very humanized in a way that we haven't seen before, which you also can see changing the robocalls that you receive. So those robocalls that used to sound very much like a robot will now sound very much like a human with ums and uhs and the keyboard clicks in the background. So just being aware of that technology in terms of people trying to reach out to scam you, perhaps. So yeah, just important things to keep in mind. I also see Robin pointed out, will ChatGPT refer me to the best place to eat tacos in my city? Let's find out.
and I see as well while you're searching that, Abby had asked some great questions about not needing to take notes because you get the transcript, so you can always cut and paste. That's true not only for, where Dylan's typing right now, but also the voice mode. I can go back and I can access um, the entire transcript of what I was talking to ChatGPT about. Same thing with the free for voice chat. I have the free version. So Abby said there's a limited amount on free for voice chat. So yes,
Okay.
at some point, if I kept talking for 30 minutes or an hour, it would say you've ran out of your free data or however they monetize those credits.
Gotcha. Good to know. With those tacos, apparently San Diego was a taco paradise. I believe it. So yeah, they got several options here. Uh, Quite the list. Then they'll have a little spiel on what the best is, of course, depending on who you are, breaking up between North County and South County. A few pro tips at the end. So yeah, it will absolutely refer you. Uh, and I would say probably doing a better job than something like Google would. Because if you were to ask that same question on Google, the top answer would be whoever paid the most to be there, not necessarily what the best taco is. So yeah, this is an example of where ChatGPT might be the better option in this. All
So
right. Hmm.
Dylan, I think we should start to cover the last couple slides in our presentation and then
Yeah.
jump right into Q&A. I know there was another question that I wanted to hit on is someone asked, what is the best way to access AI or ChatGPT for someone who is not tech savvy and it's their first time using it? Well, I think the best way would be to take that link of right here that I just shared, click on it, try to log in with your email address or with your Gmail or one of your other types of email addresses and just try it. Um, you're not going to break it. You are not going to all of a sudden lose all your bank account information or anything like that. You might as well just try it. And that's what we always like to encourage at Senior Tech Connect is to try something new and see if you learn something. If you get frustrated, you can maybe give it a rest and try it again later. Um, but that's a fantastic question, which we always like to just touch upon during our presentations.
Yeah, and as far as like if you're wondering if you want to use the app or if you want to use the website, truly they're both great. I would default to whichever device you use more and you feel more comfortable with, but they're both great options. And just like what Cole was saying before, I wanted to point this out before we leave the ChatGPT website. Down at the bottom, where he was saying, it says here, ChatGPT can make mistakes. Check important info. So again, it can make mistakes. There is a cost, Charmaine. It's $20 a month for the paid version, but there is a free version as well. Again, it's they have some limitations on the free version, like Cole was saying. There might be some only a specific number of messages you can send on the better models, or like with voice mode, you might only be able to speak for so long before you run out of time, essentially. But for the most part, you can use it for free, or you can get all those extra features for $20 a month.
Yep, and I use the free version, like you mentioned.
Yeah, I've been back and forth. Currently, I'm on the paid version, but I've been back and forth. I just use it so much at this point that I do like having the paid version. It's just the more updated models. You can see here it says GPT-5. That 5 is the fifth iteration of this, whereas it's version 5. 3.5 is what the free version has. So again, it's just a slightly older model. It's not going to be quite as efficient, quite as good a results, but it's still certainly a good thing to try out, especially if you just want to find out, hey, is this even something I want to use? If that's the case, definitely a good option to just go try the free version. If you don't like the free version, you won't like the paid version. So try it out, see if you like it. If you do, if you use it a lot, certainly consider trying it for a month and seeing if those extra features are worth it for you. But yeah, so going back to cover the final few slides here.
And I know Dylan's about to jump in to finish up, and people might be heading out or having to bump to other plans for the day. I did leave the survey here in the chat if you'd like to leave us any recommendations. We do currently about 2 webinars every month, English, Spanish, and we're open to new topics. So please leave us your thoughts and recommendations on that link if you can. And then we will be wrapping up after this with some Q&A and then a little bit more about Senior Tech Connect in the community.
Okay. So now let's say you've asked it for an essay outline, for example, and it's starting to generate all that and you see it going and going and you see something and you're like, "Oh, that's not right. That's not what I wanted to say." Or maybe you notice in your own response, "Oh, I didn't mean to type that. I meant to say this instead." You can always mid generation, you can always click this stop button. It's going to be in the same place as the go button is whenever like the send button. It just replaces the send button when you press send. You can press that and it will completely stop the generation in that moment. From there, you can then edit your response to update what you want or just have it regenerate a response. So in the case that you wanted to regenerate a response, from there you would just go to the bottom area of that specific message, and you would look for this looks like a recycling symbol here. You would click there and ask it to try again. You could also, instead of just having it try again with what it currently has, you can add details to it. You can have it be more concise. You can have it search the web before giving you the response. Multiple options there to get multiple responses that will work best for you. If you've generated a few responses, let's say you've generated 4 or 5 responses here, and you're like, actually, the second one was the best one. I want to go back to that. Right here in the bottom, you can see these arrows. Those will go back and forth between however many responses you've generated for this message. For feedback, it's in that same area down here at the bottom. You'll see a thumbs up and a thumbs down. Essentially, after you've asked ChatGPT for something, if it's giving you good results, let OpenAI know. Give them a thumbs up. If it's consistently giving you bad results, let them know. Give them a thumbs down. This is helpful for ChatGPT, helps them to improve the model based on those people's feedback. And then right next to that, you'll see the clipboard. So this is essentially just what you can click to copy something to your clipboard so you could paste it elsewhere. So if you have a message you want to like a response that's been generated and you want to copy that into a Word document so you can edit it, you would copy it by pressing this button and then go to your Word document and either right click paste or Control V or Command V, however you copy and paste, whatever your preferred method is there. I am seeing Abby put a question that says, "Ask ChatGPT to explain it like to a first." Or I assume they're wanting ChatGPT explained as if it's being explained to a first grader. Is that seems like a good, yeah.
Yes, I guess so. And then I see Robin, you asked our first names. So you've got Dylan, and my first name is Cole. Thank you for asking.
Here we go. That's yeah. Yeah, it's like a friend that's read a lot of books and stories, and I guess might occasionally lie to you. That's important to point out as well. But yeah, it's essentially just something that has been trained on so much information from the internet that it's able to use that information to generate word after word. Essentially, it generates a word and then it predicts what the next word should be, and so on until it has a full generated response here. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, so much for attending.